Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. As per usual, there will be a lot of combat footage and images in this video, so viewers' discretion is advised. March 2003, a team of Green Berets stationed in southern Afghanistan were betrayed by the local district police chief and led straight into one of the deadliest ambushes of the war, leaving them completely surrounded by a heavily armed enemy force with no way out. With AK rounds and RPGs flying overhead, the Green Berets fought to the death, taking out as many hostile fighters as they possibly could. And in the end, they got their revenge on the corrupt police chief, but not in the way you would expect. Towards the end of March 2003, the Green Berets stationed at Fire Base Gereshk in the Helmand Province, Afghanistan, made contact with the local district chief and police chief, who requested assistance with some humanitarian aid projects, more specifically repairs to a clinic and a school located in the district. Captain Steve Malloy made no promises of support, but did agree to meet with them and the village elders to talk about it. And so the next day, on March 29th, 2003, a 5-vehicle convoy traveled to the town of Sangin. The convoy consisted of Captain Malloy and the Green Berets of ODA 744, as well as 4 soldiers from the Civil Affairs team, 1 PSYOP soldier, and an interpreter. The journey to Sangin was bumpy but uneventful. Upon arrival at the village, the Civil Affairs team met with the district chief, the police chief, and the village elders. But in the middle of the meeting, the police chief, Muhammad Wali Khan, suspiciously excused himself to answer a phone call and then returned to the meeting 15 minutes later. After the meeting, the team visited the nearby school to assess the possibility of humanitarian aid. But halfway through the assessment, Captain Malloy received an urgent radio transmission ordering their immediate return to the fire base because the Green Berets were needed as a quick reaction force for troops in contact near Kandahar. So the team quickly apologized to the community leaders and promised to return as soon as possible. The district chief insisted on escorting the team back to base. However, he stopped the entire convoy just outside the edge of town to answer a phone call. And after the prolonged conversation, he apologized to the Green Berets and informed them that they would have to get back to base on their own. So the team continued their way back to the fire base without the escort. And after only 20 minutes of driving, several soldiers noticed an Afghan male dressed in green crossing the road from west to east. He did not appear to be in any hurry or overly concerned with the convoy, which was odd, since vehicles in this area usually elicited at least curiosity. Almost instinctively, the soldiers looked in the direction from which the lone Afghan man had come from and noticed several heads popping up on a berm about 150 meters on the right side of the convoy. Almost instantly, rocket-propelled grenades streaked toward the convoy, firing at the lead and trail vehicles. AK-47 and light machine gun fire immediately added to the chaos of the ambush. An RPG missed the lead vehicle, impacting between the second and third vehicles, blowing the tailgate completely off the second vehicle. The RPG fired at the trail vehicle missed, impacting on a berm next to the road. Meanwhile, the third vehicle was hammered with bullets, wounding all 3 of the occupants. All of the vehicles sustained multiple hits. One of the Hilux trucks had its gear shift completely shot off, and another truck had over 40 separate bullet holes. The operators quickly jumped into action, and per team procedures, the vehicle drivers raced out of the kill zone, while individual soldiers returned fire at the berm with their personal weapons as they sped out of the kill zone. Moving forward about 500 meters, the convoy stopped and quickly set up an initial security position and returned fire at the ambush line. As his soldiers returned fire, Captain Malloy attempted to call in a hasty contact report and get immediate close air support. Captain Malloy and the ODA's Assistant Commander Warrant Officer 1, Jude Randall, simultaneously realized that the trail vehicle was missing. It had been disabled and was still sitting in the middle of the kill zone. Within a few minutes of the initial ambush, Warrant Officer 1 Randall and 3 other SF soldiers re-entered the kill zone to assist their comrades. To avoid being completely wiped out, Captain Malloy knew he had to achieve communications with headquarters to get air support on station immediately. So he exited his vehicle, ripping the satellite communications radio from its mounts, and quickly attached another antenna and attempted once again to make contact. Thankfully, his transmissions were getting through to headquarters. He just for some reason wasn't able to receive any transmissions back from them. Meanwhile, the element led by Warrant Officer 1 Randall raced back into the kill zone to assist their teammates using a Toyota Tacoma. And they were closely followed by a second vehicle from the convoy, a Hilux truck, which was providing suppressive fire at the ambusher. Once they reached the stranded team members in the middle of the kill zone, they used the Tacoma to block their position. The team members in the Tacoma with Randall quickly got to work using an M249 squad automatic weapon and an M203 grenade launcher to suppress the enemy, while Randall and the team's medic got to work on the casualties. Under heavy return fire and probably realizing that help would soon arrive for the Americans, the ambushers conducted an orderly withdrawal, with the RPG gunners leaving first and then others retreating in pairs through a cut in the hillside and out of the line of sight of the Americans. With the ambush now broken but still receiving sporadic fire, the wounded team members were quickly loaded into vehicles and rushed to the initial security position for further medical aid. Back at headquarters, the operations staff sprung into action as soon as they got reports of teams in contact, and they were immediately able to retask air assets to assist the Green Berets on the ground. And along with the air assets, an 8-man Green Beret team from ODA 751 were quickly put together as a quick reaction force, and they hauled tail in armored vehicles to the ambush site. The battalion surgeon was also quickly loaded on a medevac helicopter in order to provide medical support as soon as possible. Once all soldiers were at the initial security position, Captain Malloy had to balance security with care for the wounded soldiers. While still receiving sporadic enemy fire, the team medic, assisted by several others, cared for the 3 severely wounded soldiers. Captain Malloy quickly determined that they had to move to a secure place in order to bring in the helicopter. The convoy quickly moved down the road to an Afghan gas station about 5 kilometers from the ambush site. As Captain Malloy continued to coordinate for support, Warrant Officer 1 Randall assumed the temporary role of team sergeant and formed a security perimeter by stopping traffic along the road in preparation for receiving the medical evacuation helicopter and quick reaction force. At this point, the casualties included the team sergeant, the attached Air Force controller, and one of the weapons sergeants, all seriously wounded. 2 Green Berets quickly cleared and secured the inside of the gas station, and its occupants were temporarily detained until the evacuation concluded. At this point, a large crowd of curious Afghanis were beginning to congregate around the gas station, so the team's interpreter got on the loudspeaker on his vehicle and began broadcasting a message to them telling them to clear the area and do not interfere. The first sign of assistance came in the form of an AH-64 Apache gunship blazing in from the west. The Apache quickly conducted a broad sweep of the area before touching down. As soon as the helicopter set down, the battalion surgeon rushed off the helicopter to the wounded soldiers. With the additional manpower now on site, the wounded were carried forward and placed on the helicopter within minutes and then evacuated immediately to the field hospital at Kandahar Airfield. And almost simultaneously with the medevac, 2 separate quick reaction forces arrived. The first quick reaction force arriving via Black Hawk helicopter and quickly reinforcing the small defensive perimeter. With the first quick reaction force handling the perimeter, Captain Malloy informed the second quick reaction force that during the ambush, some equipment was blown off their vehicles and left in the middle of the kill zone. So the members of the QRF rushed down to the ambush site to search the area. Unfortunately, both the enemy and the equipment were nowhere to be found, so they returned to the perimeter. With the team suffering 3 casualties and all of their vehicles being damaged, Captain Malloy made the call for them to immediately return to the firebase. But then something odd happened. Captain Malloy noticed that his cell phone was ringing. In fact, it had been ringing throughout the entire firefight. He just had been blocking it out. So he pulled the team's interpreter aside and answered the phone call. And on the other end was the district chief they had just met with. And the district chief immediately began poking at Captain Malloy, saying that he heard there was a little accident. And it was at that moment everyone on the team realized the local officials had set them up. So the Americans loaded themselves back into their vehicles and returned slowly to the firebase, wary of another possible attack. Once back at the firebase, everyone began refitting in preparation for a return mission back to Sangin. However, ODA 744 was ordered to stand down and move immediately to Kandahar. 2 Black Hawk helicopters landed just 2 hours later to fly the ODA from Gereshk to Kandahar. Now at half strength as a result of the casualties, the decision was made to return ODA 744 to the United States, thus ending its Afghanistan tour. Orlando Morales and Jacob Fraser were confirmed killed in action at the hospital at Kandahar Airfield, having succumbed to their wounds despite the valiant efforts of their teammates. The third man of the 3 casualties, however, was stabilized at Kandahar and returned to his team after 6 months of extensive physical therapy and rehabilitation. Exactly 1 week later, on April 8th, 2003, a large detachment of Navy SEALs along with the 82nd Airborne Division conducted an operation in Sangin to capture the individuals responsible for the planning and execution of it. The operation was a complete success. A large amount of weapons and ammunition were seized and destroyed. More than 50 Afghanis were questioned, with 4 of them being flown to Kandahar for further questioning. Additionally, the operation recovered the weapons, sights, night vision devices, and equipment lost during the ambush. And that's the end of all the information I could find of this operation. If you guys want to see all the combat footage that was too graphic for YouTube, I'll have a link down in the description below to my Patreon where I'm posting all of that footage. So definitely go check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the one popping up on screen right now. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.